Manny meant a lot of things to all of us, but above all, they were just a fun person to be around. They just lit up every room they were in, and they had like the most infectious smile. They were always giggling and joyful, and they cared. They're in the company of the most dedicated people I've ever met. They cared about fighting on every single front, and I'll never forget that. They're an example to to follow, honestly. And I know they wouldn't want to be thought of like that, but really, they were an inspiration to all of us.
They're charismatic and eccentric, and they just really they really cared and radically loved everybody. There was no limit to who was allowed to receive love or who was allowed to get help, because we were all equals, right? And this was something that Manny really held on to. And of course, there's always going to be like political discourse that might cause some contention between people, but it didn't matter. Manny just wanted to make sure that they could help wherever they could, and they were just dedicated to it. They dedicated their life to that. I just really appreciated Manny's spirit and energy. I'm very upset to know that they don't get to, because it's rare. It's a rare quality to be so dedicated to helping people and to spend almost all of your time doing that.
Manny was chosen family for me. You know, like a lot of us, you know, we have views, or, you know, we live our lives in a way that is maybe not consistent with our upbringing, but we found each other and, you know, through the things that we believe in. And, you know, we've supported each other steadily for a long time. Basically, when I first met them, I think it was at the skate park actually, but we were volunteering together at like a local info shop, and it was like a DIY art space. And yeah, they were just like really creative and fun to be around. They were just kind of like sort of like a kind of nerdy pre-med student at the time. Manny was such a amazing artist too. Like, you know, we had kind of bonded over that. I'm like mainly a visual artist, and we used to set up and like paint in like the park sometimes, and like, you know, it was just really cool to see them build up their confidence and their skill, and like, you know, their ability to like sell paintings and like, you know, connect with people on that level through images. And you know, like even like leading up to just the end of their life. I mean, you know, there was still, I had just sent them a little bit of money from some prints that they just sold at like a local cafe. You know, it's just too short. You know, like they had so much ahead of them. Like I just, when will it be enough? Like how many people have to die before we realize, like, you know, things can be so much better than this.
Manny was telling me after they got evicted, they didn't want to just get on another lease and, you know, keep being a wage slave. They were saying the revolution needs people on the front lines, and they knew that they had the power and the capacity to be one of those people, and they did, more so than anyone else I've known. I trusted that them being out there would make the world a better place, and that they would defend the forest with every fucking fiber in their being, and they did.
I was so like enamored, but also like I felt like it was a gut punch at the same time, because it kind of just felt like your like mom or dad was leaving or something like that, because they were such like a pillar in the Tallahassee area in mutual aid, and we could feel their presence lost. Like I missed them during the meal shares and stuff. I missed while volunteering, because I could count on them to always show up and stuff. But they always had their head on where the fight was, and they knew that they could make the impact and raise the ceiling further at Cop City. So that's why I always told myself, like, that's okay. You know, like I just have to pick it up now and take the mantle, or not just me, but us. We have to take up the mantle.
Manny went there because they felt like it was their obligation to do so. They felt like that they had to go. because it was the right thing to do.
They just knew that importance about the earth and the environment and the intersectionality with it and the destruction and excess that police bring with them. So when I think about Manny, I just don't want people to say Manny's name and stuff. I want people to be Manny at the end of the day, both in spirit and in person.
They had a bright future. They graduated like, you know, cum laude in their at FSU and pre-med. They were like, they had so many opportunities. They could have done a whole bunch of stuff in mutual aid. I remember like congratulating them on graduating though, and they were just like, fuck that, I don't care. They were just like, it didn't even matter to them because they knew that they'd be able to make more of a difference going out there on the ground. And we don't want to be like out there fighting these pigs and these fascists. Like, we got other stuff to do with our lives. This isn't what anybody wants.
They were out there because they loved the earth and they loved people, and we want peace and joy. And when the state attacks us with its apparatus of violent coercion, it's a sign that what we're doing is working. And when they spill our blood, it means that we have to multiply our efforts 1,000-fold. The time for revolution is now, and it shouldn't take a fucking tragedy to make us realize that. Manny knew it.